One reason I'm attracted to the Boeing story is that the product development and project management issues are so different from software development project management. The stakes are vastly higher, errors are vastly costlier. In researching Boeing's problems, I came across a study written in 2001 that laid out the problems with outsourcing in Boeing's product development and manufacturing. Yes, the management was warned. Yes, there was detailed research showing that the approach to the 787 development and manufacturing would make the product unprofitable. No, senior management didn't listen, and they never acknowledged that they had been told clearly and precisely why what they were doing wouldn't work. The study was presented internally years before Spirit Aerosystems was spun off of Boeing's Wichita and Oklahoma operations in order to make them an outsourcing shop. It was years before the financially disastrous 787 project, and of course, long before the 737 MAX. The paper is titled Outsourced Profits, the Cornerstone of Successful Subcontracting. It was authored by Dr. J. L. Hart-Smith of Boeing's Phantom Works in Long Beach, California. I can't say it better than the abstract, the recommendations, and the concluding remarks in this paper, so here they are verbatim. The abstract. The purpose of this paper is to describe and explain some highlights associated with the contemporary business practice of outsourcing more and more of a company's activities in the belief that doing so will increase profitability. A strong case is made that it will not always be possible to make more and more profit out of less and less product, and that, worse, there's a strong risk of going out of business directly as a result of this policy. The point is made that not only is the work outsourced, all of the profits associated with the work are outsourced too. The history of the former Douglas Aircraft Company is cited as a clear indication of what these policies have done, and as a warning of what more may be done. The subcontractors on the DC-10 made all the profits. The prime manufacturer absorbed all the overruns. The circumstances under which outsourcing can be beneficial are also explained. They involve better access to improved facilities with which to make more precise detail parts to reduce the cost of final assembly. A strong warning is included about the perils of suboptimum solutions, in which individual costs are minimized in isolation. Indeed, the importance of thorough planning accounting for all interdepartmental interactions cannot be overemphasized. A case is made that it is better to fill up excess capacity with additional work, even if unrelated to the core business, than to close it down and sell it off. Such practices can even be necessary for retaining the skills and facilities to produce the prime products, but which would otherwise be underutilized and become targets for elimination. The inherent traditional imbalance between budgets and headcounts can be resolved in this manner. This paper includes some observations about European experiences, good and bad, with outsourcing. It closes with a list of recommendations by the author about how to operate and maintain profitable businesses. Recommendations. Having indicated the follies of so many of the modern methods of cost control, the author should at least offer his own suggestions for others to criticize in turn or to pay attention to. These recommendations are actually quite simple. 1. Look continuously at the entire activity. Do not minimize costs in isolation. Understand that one global cost minimization is worth far more than 20 suboptimum cost reductions. 2. Acknowledge that perfect efficiency cannot possibly be achieved and that it is counterproductive to try to do so. 3. The minimum amount of production work that must be retained in-house to generate sufficient cash to develop future products. Do not let the tasks performed in-house fall below this level, even if some tasks have a higher profit margin than others. 4. Retain sufficient in-house production manufacturing that it is possible for future engineers to acquire the skills needed to develop new products, without which all businesses will fail. Even the work that is outsourced requires internal expertise to write the specifications. 5. Outsource only on the basis of better facilities, never on the basis of temporarily lower labor rate. Outsourcing as offsets for sales must be acknowledged as an increase in cost. On average, not a desirable cost savings. 6. Understand that outsourcing work increases total span time and transportation costs. It outsources all of the profits that are associated with that work. It also entails additional in-house activities that would not have been needed had the work been retained in-house. 7. Recognize the importance of precision in early tasks in reducing the larger subsequent tasks. Pay particular attention to self-assembling jigless structures as a proven method for eliminating expensive intermediate tooling that has no value once a program is over. That one's a bit technical there. I hope you're bearing with me. 8. Acknowledge that cost-saving techniques that work in other high-volume industries are often quite inappropriate for low-volume industries like aerospace. 9. Find work to fill excess capacity. Do not close it down or sell it off to boost RONA. Take on non-core activities from time to time if that is what is needed to reach a balance between headcount and budgets. Otherwise, irreplaceable critical skills will be lost, and it will not be possible to deliver even core products. 10. Listen to your own employees about how to save cost, then to any outside business consultants who have never run a factory producing your kind of product. In any event, if the advice they offer changes every year, it cannot possibly be correct. Concluding remarks. A strong case has been made that outsourcing all of the value-added work is tantamount to outsourcing all of the profits. It also increases span time and the cost of inventory as work is done earlier. There are many additional internal costs associated with outsourced work that are not identified as such. As long as the additional internal work associated with outsourced activities is reported as extra overhead on the unrelated remaining internal work instead of being identified as a cost of outsourcing, the illusion will be created that the more work is outsourced, the greater is the case for outsourcing the remaining work. Eventually, the entire corporate overhead is applied to the sales department because there's no other department left. Sales will be outsourced too because their task will also have become too expensive. Only through assessment of all costs can only a thorough assessment of all costs can distinguish between work best outsourced and best performed in-house. In any event, there is a minimum level of work that must be accomplished in-house if a company is to remain in business. In addition, very different designs may be needed for different assembly sequences at multiple sites, whether they be within a large corporation, at someone else's factory. Excessive downsizing can lead to an increase in costs. It can also reduce a company below the critical mass of technology needed to develop future products to stay in business. Work may be needed to be undertaken outside defined core competencies merely to ensure that the staff and facilities are available to perform work that is defined to be within core competencies. It can also be far more profitable to add work to fully utilize existing facilities than to sell off the facilities and outsource the work. The fate of the former Douglas Aircraft Company, which was reduced to a systems integrator in the early 1970s by excessive outsourcing of DC-10 production, is a clear indicator of what will happen to other companies which fail to sustain the conditions under which it is possible to launch new products. It is hoped that this sacrifice can save the new and expanded Boeing from a similar fate. Wow, there's Boeing's future foretold. This is what I mean by the Boeing topic being fascinating for being so different from most software development projects. But these warnings about outsourcing are directly applicable to software development. You need to observe these cautions or outsourcing will go badly for you.